Hi, everybody. I want to share a dream with you that the Lord brought to my attention. That I never, He's actually been bringing to my attention a few dreams that I had towards the end of 2020 and a couple that I've had in 2021 that I never shared. I usually wait until I receive, you know, more confirmation on the dream, uh, or the Lord really will put like a burden on my heart. And there's a dream from February 3rd that I had in 2021, that the Lord just very recently started putting on my heart, along with a few others, to share with you. So, February 3rd, 2021, the night before, well, really the night before that, I had a dream, that I was with a bunch of other people, probably at least 20, maybe closer to 30 people. We were in, excuse me, we were in a church foyer. The church foyer actually was one that I have had in many dreams, and I think it's partly because of it's familiar to me from my childhood, um, at a church that I went to until I was about 11 or 12 years old. Excuse me. And the weird thing was, all of us, we were sitting on the floor. And you have to understand, in this church, you had these like double doors behind us. There was the foyer. There was, directly in front of the foyer was a couple of doors going into the auditorium. And then there was a left wing and a right wing connecting to the foyer. So it kind of makes like a plus sign in shape. And so we were all sitting on the floor in the foyer facing towards the auditorium. There was a big gap between us and the auditorium. It wasn't like we were up against the doors or anything. There was enough space so that somebody could walk through the hallway, to the right or left if they wanted to. And then, as we were sitting there, we all were like absolutely just dead quiet. Nobody said anything. Nobody was kind of moving around. No, none of the. I don't remember there being any children. It was all, teenagers and older, who were there. Um, um, and I remember it was a very serious feeling. People were not scared, but they understood the seriousness of the situation, because outside the doors it was absolute madness and chaos. There was a high military presence. There was murdering going on. I did not see this. It was a knowing in the dream that there was a lot of murder going on in the streets. People were frightened. People were running. People were hiding. There was military presence. A lot of dark things that were going on. There was persecution. That was a big one that I knew in the dream. Persecution of the Christians, of the saints, who were not backing down for their faith. Excuse me, I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot. But so this is kind of the setup for this dream. Very intense, but we understand a lot of my dreams have some literal to them and then some symbolic to them. So this next part is partly symbolic. We knew in the dream that why we were all sitting in the foyer, gathered together here in the foyer, was that um, Jesus himself he had set a time to meet with certain people in the auditorium. No one else but those that were supposed to meet him were allowed to go in. And all of us who were sitting in the foyer, we were not meant to go into the auditorium. We were just to wait and see what instructions were given. Jesus was going to give instructions to these very few people who are going to be able to enter the auditorium and speak with him. That's what was happening. So as we're all sitting there, it's quiet and we can hear things going on outside, and we just I felt like in the dream at any moment, soldiers could barge in, crazy people could barge in to just start killing us, but none of us moved. We stayed right there. And suddenly from the right hand side of us who were sitting in the foyer, down from the right wing hallway, there was about, I believe, 3 people. I had thought about that a lot. How many people was it? How many people? I don't think it was more than, I know it wasn't 2, and I think 4 is too many. And at the most it could have been 4, but I really believe there was 3 people, 3 adults that were walking from the right wing to where we were, and they were the ones that were supposed to go meet with the Lord in the auditorium for this meeting, this special meeting where they were going to have instructions. They were going to have special instructions from Jesus. And it was this wonderful honor that they were given. And as they began to walk, they were very quiet. None of them said anything. They were very calm and peaceful. And 2 of them, I think 2 of the women that were there, they were walking. There was one man in particular I remember. He was tall, and he, the reason I remember him was as they were walking by to get ready to turn to go into the auditorium, very quiet and like soberly, you know what I mean? This man, he looked directly at me. He looked right at me in the eyes, and he kind of held his gaze on my eyes, into my eyes, connecting to me for a couple of seconds. And when he did, I felt awful in the dream. I felt like I had failed. It was knowing instantly in the dream that I was supposed to have been one of those people. I was supposed to have been one of those few who was walking down the hallway to go get those instructions from Jesus in these hard days. I was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be one sitting on the floor. I was supposed to be one of the ones walking. And it hit me so hard in the dream. And I remember just having that, gut sinking feeling. He didn't say a word to me. He just gave me that look, and I knew. And then, the 3 or maybe 4 of them, they went into the auditorium, and after a couple of seconds, they came back out, and they had all of these pots, and they were setting all of these pots in front of us on the floor. They were going back and forth, and they had all these pots. And they still didn't say a word to us. And as to describe the pots to you a little bit, they were like pottery, like really old pottery. Some of them were very smooth, had like a glaze around them. Some of them were more like that clay pottery feeling, that um, like some were more ceramic feeling and some were more clay feeling, that kind of porous. Some There was one in particular that looked like a pitcher. Was very interesting. They reminded me though of something old, something very old. Um, and a lot of them though were it's going to sound weird. Some of them, actually most of them, were in the shape of, if you've ever seen Winnie the Pooh, his honey pots. uh, but they were old. They were old, and they didn't have anything to do with honey or anything like that. But anyway, so these people, they brought out all of these vessels, these pottery pieces, and they set them down, and then they never said a word to anybody. They just started, the people who were sitting closer to the front on the floor, they started passing, they were not passing, they were scooting forward a pot to the person who it belonged to. And for people who were in, the middle or back, on the floor, they would push a pot forward to somebody in the front, and that person would just kind of peek into the pot, see who the pot belonged to, because it was inscribed in the bottom of the pot was the person's name. And so they would see whose name was in there, and then they would pass it behind them until each person, all these pots were being pushed or passed. These vessels were being pushed or passed to different people. And I remember, getting one, looking in. I saw a boy's name that I knew. He's not really a boy. He's older now. I don't even think he's a teenager. I think he's an adult now. But anyway, I saw his name and I passed it back, and so this is all happening, and I'm seeing, all the pots are kind of going out, everybody's getting their pot, and the funny thing is, it's not really funny. What I didn't actually get to read. I didn't read what was inside the pot that I was passing back. I just saw his name. But underneath of the name, that was in, like, it was like burned into the pot, like not scraped into it, but like seared into the pot. The bottom of the pot was the person's name that the pot was going to, and also a special assignment from Jesus himself. So do you understand what's going on here? These people, these few people went and met with Jesus, and they had these pots that were for people with their name. It was for them and them alone specifically. And they had a special assignment from the Lord inside, inscribed and burned into these pots. And the people who were getting them, they were just so excited, and you could tell that it was so encouraging to them. And everybody started getting these pots, and then the small group of people left. There was no more pots. And I looked around, and everybody had pots except me. And I remember in the dream, this feeling, I began to cry. I cried. I didn't understand, and I just I felt so alienated, and but not in a demonic way. It was more, the Lord was showing me in this dream, because right after that I woke up. Um, but the Lord was showing me in this dream the what could happen if, kind of scenarios. What could happen if we allow sin to get into our lives? What could happen if we surrender everything to the Lord? Some people have these callings. They're going to be these messengers, these people who are filled with the Spirit, who have these special plans. And then, but the Lord has a special plan for everybody. This is what we're seeing. There's actually a lot of ways that this dream could be interpreted, and I think that something really beautiful about it. I think that the Lord has multiple meanings for this dream. There's one particular one that stands out to me, but I'm not going to say all of that to you. I want you to pray about it. I want you to take this dream to the Lord, apply it to yourself. Excuse me, because he really placed upon my heart today, which is funny because this dream was from February, and I've actually got a dream from last October that I'm going to be sharing with you that he just now is really placing on my heart to share. So I have a few to share, but please pray about this. I feel like this dream is something that applies to all of us. But thank you for listening, and I hope that you have a blessed day. Bye.